Let it, I say, and G-A-L-M-E-N. In every corner of the world, from bustling cities to quiet villages, there is a silent force at work, a force more powerful than fear, more healing than time, and more needed now than ever before. That force is kindness. Kindness begins with a choice. It does not wait for perfect conditions, nor does it demand that the recipient earn it. At its very core, kindness is an intentional decision of the heart and mind, a quiet but firm commitment to act in love, when indifference would be easier. It may seem like a simple thing, but the truth is, choosing kindness is one of the most powerful acts a person can make in their daily life. Every day, we are presented with opportunities to respond, whether in traffic, in classrooms, in our workplaces, or even in our own homes. We can react with frustration, with apathy, or with impatience. Or we can choose the path of kindness, not because it is deserved, but because it reflects something deeper in us. This choice is often invisible to the world. A kind thought instead of a judgmental one, a word of encouragement rather than silence, a moment of listening instead of dismissing. These are the quiet decisions that shape our character and the world around us. Many believe that kindness must be sparked by a feeling, by compassion welling up within us. But true kindness does not always rely on emotion. In fact, the most meaningful acts of kindness often come in the absence of emotion. They are choices made despite fatigue, despite disagreement, even despite hurt. Kindness in these moments becomes more than a feeling. It becomes a moral discipline. It becomes a reflection of our values, not our moods. And the beauty of this choice is that it is not restricted by wealth, education, or influence. It is accessible to every human being. A child can show kindness by sharing. A teenager can choose not to mock. A leader can lift others with words. Kindness is not bound by circumstance. It is free to be chosen at all times, in all places, by all people. When we begin to live as though kindness is a choice, we free ourselves from the belief that we are powerless. We realize that in every situation, no matter how small, we hold the ability to make someone's day better, to lighten a burden, or to soften a hardened spirit. This is not an exaggeration. Even one kind sentence can stay with a person for years. One act of generosity can change the direction of a life. Choosing kindness does not mean we ignore injustice or that we accept wrong. Rather, it means that in confronting what is wrong, we do so with a spirit that heals, not one that wounds. Kindness is not passive, it is active. It moves toward others. It sees people not as obstacles, but as souls. And so, in a world that tells us to win, to outdo, to guard our hearts, kindness calls us to open them. In the noise of competition and criticism, kindness offers a steady, quiet power, the power of choice. Not a choice shaped by what we get in return, but by who we become when we give without expecting anything back. A single act of kindness may appear small in the moment, but its effects stretch far beyond what we can immediately see. Like a pebble dropped into a still pond, it creates ripples. Subtle, widening circles that travel outward, touching shores we may never reach ourselves. This is the power of kindness. It multiplies, often silently, weaving through lives and generations in ways we cannot predict. The ripple effect of one kind gesture is often greater than we realize. Consider a moment when someone showed you unexpected kindness. Perhaps it was a teacher who believed in you when others doubted, or a stranger who helped when you were struggling. That single gesture may have seemed minor at the time, but it likely left a lasting impression on your heart. It may have lifted your spirit, changed your perspective, or even altered the course of your life. And from that point forward, something in you shifted. You became more willing to show the same kindness to others. That is the ripple. What's remarkable is that kindness does not need to be dramatic to be impactful. A note of encouragement, a sincere compliment, a helping hand, these simple actions may take only seconds, yet they have the capacity to echo through someone else's life for years. Sometimes the person receiving the kindness goes on to become a source of kindness to others. That one moment, born out of compassion, becomes the seed for countless more. These ripples also extend into the unseen corners of people's hearts. There are those who are silently hurting, carrying burdens we cannot see. A kind word or act may not erase their pain, but it tells them they are not alone. It reminds them of their worth. It shows that someone notices, someone cares. That feeling, however brief, can give a person the strength to carry on, to heal, to hope again. And when people are strengthened in this way, they are more likely to lift others in return. The beauty of this ripple effect is that it breaks through barriers. Kindness knows no boundaries of race, status, language, or belief. It transcends cultural differences and political divisions. It is a universal current that connects people on a deeply human level. One act of kindness can start a chain reaction that travels across cities, communities, and even generations. It may reach a young child today and shape the way they treat others in the future. Ultimately, when we choose to be kind, we participate in something far greater than ourselves. We become links in a chain of goodness that stretches across time and place. And while we may never see the full extent of our actions, we can be confident that every genuine act of kindness is a life of its own, a legacy that moves quietly through the lives it touches, multiplying with each new act it inspires. In the fast-paced, competitive, and often fractured world we live in, it is easy to feel that we are drifting further away from one another. People walk past each other with heads down, distracted by devices and consumed by personal struggles. In such a world, kindness becomes more than just a virtue. It becomes a bridge back to our shared humanity. It is through kindness that we rediscover the truth that, despite our differences, we are all connected by the same hopes, fears, joys, and needs. Kindness restores our sense of what it means to be human. When we show kindness, we recognize the value and dignity of another person, regardless of who they are or what they've done. In doing so, we affirm something sacred in each other, the simple truth that every life matters. This is not merely a social courtesy, it is a deep and powerful reminder that we are not alone, that we are seen, and that we belong. In a time when so many feel invisible or isolated, even a small act of kindness can be a lifeline. It is important to understand that kindness is not just about being nice. Being nice is polite. Kindness goes deeper. It is intentional and personal. It may come with sacrifice. It may require patience or humility. And sometimes it may go against the grain of what the world tells us to do. But this is precisely what makes kindness so powerful. It is a conscious choice to act with empathy and love in a world that often pushes us towards selfishness and apathy. Every day, people walk around with invisible wounds, grief they cannot speak of, rejection they have not healed from, or anxieties they carry alone. Kindness has the ability to meet people in these quiet places. It may not solve every problem, but it can ease the burden. It can soften a hardened heart, or give someone just enough hope to make it through the day. That is not a small thing. That is transformation. When kindness becomes a part of who we are, not just something we occasionally do, it changes how we see the world. We begin to notice more. We become more attentive to others' pain, more generous with our time, more gracious with our words. We shift from seeing people as competitors or strangers to seeing them as fellow travelers, each of us carrying our own stories, each of us in need of kindness at some point in our lives. And the impact does not stop with the person receiving it. Kindness is contagious. When one person is treated with compassion, they are more likely to treat others the same way. It becomes a quiet movement of healing, one life at a time. In this way, kindness does not just restore individuals. It can help restore entire communities and, over time, even societies. Kindness is often misunderstood in today's world. It is sometimes seen as softness, passivity, or even weakness. But true kindness is none of those things. In fact, it takes incredible strength to be kind, especially when the circumstances don't call for it, when others are unkind, or when kindness costs us something. Kindness is not the absence of strength, it is the evidence of it. It requires self-control, moral courage, and the discipline to choose love over retaliation. Think about the strength it takes to respond to insult with silence, to meet cruelty with compassion, or to forgive someone who has deeply wronged you. These acts are not easy. They require emotional maturity, patience, and an inner clarity of values. When someone lashes out and we respond with grace, we are not being weak. We are being powerfully grounded. We are showing that our identity is not defined by how others treat us, but by how we choose to treat others. Kindness does not mean we avoid conflict or never speak hard truths. On the contrary, true kindness often involves confrontation. But it does so with gentleness, not with harshness. It is possible to correct someone without humiliating them, to disagree with someone without demeaning them, and to stand firm without being cruel. This is the strength of character that kindness reveals. It stands tall in a world that is quick to react, condemn, and divide. The strongest people in life are not always those who are loudest or most dominant. Sometimes they are the ones who endure quietly, who forgive deeply, and who love generously without seeking attention or reward. They carry burdens with grace. They speak life when others spread negativity. They serve when it would be easier to turn away. Their strength is not forceful but steady, not loud but unwavering. Moreover, being kind in the face of adversity is an act of defiance against the culture of self-centeredness. It says, I will not be hardened by pain. I will not let bitterness shape who I become. It takes real strength to remain soft-hearted in a world that constantly tempts us to become hard. That kind of resilience is rare and powerful. When we recognize kindness as strength, we stop underestimating it. We begin to raise our children to admire it, not just ambition. We start seeking leaders who lead with empathy, not just authority. We begin to realize that the world doesn't need more people fighting to be right. It needs more people strong enough to be kind. So let us not confuse gentleness with weakness. It is far more difficult to build than to destroy, to comfort than to criticize. The path of kindness may be quiet, but it is not easy. It demands discipline, humility, and deep conviction. And those who walk it are not fragile, they are fierce in the most human way. They are proof that kindness is not only powerful, it is enduring. There are many ways the world tries to heal pain through therapy, time, medication, or distraction. But one of the most immediate and accessible paths to healing is found in something profoundly simple: kindness. Kindness has the power to mend what is broken, soothe what is aching, and restore what is lost in the human spirit. It doesn't always solve the external problem, but it changes the way a person feels inside, and that change can be the very beginning of recovery. Emotional wounds are often hidden. Unlike physical injuries, they are not always visible. A person can be smiling on the outside while struggling internally with anxiety, grief, shame, or loneliness. In such moments, a kind gesture, a word of encouragement, a listening ear, a quiet show of support can be like fresh air to a soul suffocating in silence. It reminds the person that they are not forgotten, that their pain is seen, and that they matter. Sometimes, that's all it takes to give someone enough strength to get through the day. Kindness doesn't require that we have all the answers. It doesn't demand that we fix another person's life. What it offers instead is presence, compassion, and understanding. And very often, those are the things that people need most, not solutions, but connection. When someone feels heard, respected, or simply noticed, they begin to feel human again. That alone is a powerful step toward healing in relationships, whether family, friendship, or even among strangers. Kindness has a unique ability to repair what is broken. Words spoken in anger can create wounds, but words spoken in kindness can close them. A sincere apology, a forgiving gesture, or a simple act of patience can rebuild trust that seemed lost forever. Kindness doesn't erase the past, but it offers a new future, one where understanding and grace take the place of bitterness. Scientific research even confirms what many have experienced. Kindness affects our brains and bodies. It lowers stress, boosts mood, and releases chemicals like oxytocin that promote bonding and peace. It's no surprise, then, That acts of kindness not only help the person receiving them, but also uplift the one giving them. In a way, kindness heals both sides of the exchange. What's truly remarkable is that healing through kindness often happens without fanfare. It may be a brief moment, unnoticed by others, but it leaves a lasting mark. Over time, repeated acts of kindness form a pattern that can reshape communities, families, and entire cultures. When people feel safe and valued, they begin to let go of fear and pain. They begin to heal together. In a world filled with sharp edges and loud voices, kindness is the gentle salve that soothes the soul. It restores a sense of belonging. It affirms the dignity of each person. It builds a quiet strength in those who thought they had none left. And most importantly, it reminds us that even the smallest act can bring light to someone walking through darkness. In a world often driven by results, performance, and appearance, leadership is frequently measured by position or power. But true leadership is not merely about titles or authority. It is about influence. And the most enduring form of influence comes not from force or fear, but from kindness. Those who lead with kindness do not merely command respect, they earn it. Their impact lingers not in the minds of others through fear, but in their hearts through inspiration. Kindness, when practiced consistently, becomes the compass by which great leaders guide others, even in times of uncertainty or conflict. Leadership through kindness is not soft or passive. It is a deliberate and courageous way of living. It means seeing those around you not just as resources or roles, but as human beings with stories, struggles, and potential. It involves lifting others when they fall, listening when they speak, and extending grace when they falter. A kind leader does not stand above others. They walk beside them. Their strength is not in how loudly they speak, but in how deeply they care. When a person in leadership chooses to be kind, it sets a tone. It builds a culture of trust. People begin to feel safe, valued, and motivated, not because they fear failure, but because they know they are supported. This kind of environment doesn't just improve morale, it unlocks creativity, collaboration, and loyalty. People want to give their best when they know they are seen as more than just a task or a number. Leadership through kindness also means leading by example. It means showing, not just telling. If a leader wants a team to be honest, they must model honesty. If they want a group to be compassionate, they must embody compassion. Words alone cannot lead. It is consistent actions that shape culture. A kind leader teaches more by who they are than by what they say. Their influence flows from their authenticity, humility, and empathy. It's also worth noting that kindness in leadership does not mean avoiding hard decisions. A kind leader can be firm without being harsh. They can give correction without demeaning. They can uphold standards while maintaining dignity. The difference is that they approach every action, no matter how difficult, with a mindset of care, fairness, and a desire to build rather than break. In history, the leaders we remember most fondly are often those who combined strength with kindness. Their legacies endure not because of fear, but because of how they made people feel. They changed lives not just with strategy, but with compassion. Whether in a classroom, a company, a community, or a family, leaders who lead with kindness leave behind more than success. They leave behind a sense of belonging and purpose. Kindness in leadership is not just an option. It is a necessity for those who seek to create lasting, meaningful impact. It is the kind of leadership the world needs. Now more than ever, kindness is not limited by time or setting. Its reach extends far beyond the individual moment in which it is shown. Though often quiet and unnoticed, the legacy of kindness is lasting. Long after words are forgotten and accomplishments fade, people remember how they were treated, how someone made them feel. This is the enduring impact of kindness. It lives on in the hearts of others, shaping their outlook, behavior, and even the legacy they pass on to those after them. Kindness creates a memory, and in many cases, it becomes a turning point in someone's life story. Every life is made up of moments. Some are large and defining, but most are small and seemingly ordinary. Yet, it is within these ordinary moments that kindness often has its greatest power. A teacher who encouraged a struggling student may not recall the words they spoke, but the student might carry that memory for decades. A stranger who offered comfort in a time of sorrow may never know that their gesture prevented someone from giving up. This is how kindness becomes immortal, not by fame or recognition, but by the deep and lasting impression it leaves. When we reflect on the people who have influenced us most, it is rarely their intelligence, success, or status that stands out. It is how they treated us. It is their gentleness, their generosity, their patience, their presence. These qualities do not disappear, they linger. And they continue to guide us even when the person is no longer in our lives. In that way, kindness becomes a kind of inheritance. It is passed down, not in wealth, but in values. It becomes a model we follow, a standard we strive to uphold. The legacy of kindness is also self-replicating. When someone experiences genuine compassion, they are more likely to offer it to others. This creates a cycle, a legacy that expands outward through time. A parent shows kindness to their child. That child grows up to lead others with empathy. Those influenced by that leader then build families or communities shaped by that same spirit. One act of kindness can spark a lineage of care that continues long after the original act has been forgotten. Moreover, kindness leaves a legacy not only in others, but also in the one who practices it. Over time, acts of kindness shape a person's identity. They foster a life marked by purpose and peace. They leave behind stories that others will tell, not about achievements or possessions, but about character and love. In this way, kindness outlives even death. It becomes a story others will continue to tell. It becomes the echo of a life well lived. So, when all else fades, when the titles are gone, and the noise has quieted, what remains is the mark we left on others. Let that mark be kindness. Let that be the legacy we choose to leave behind.